Gods of Egypt really is one of those movies that had so much potential but just completely destroyed it. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're doing well. In this video we are going to be reviewing Gods of Egypt. Now with this movie I was really looking forward to watching this film as I am a really big fan of Egyptian mythology. However, this movie is truly hilariously really bad. I mean, the script itself was really cringe. The CGI itself was just a bit laughable and it was really awful at certain moments as well. And also, the plot itself, whilst it started off relatively decently, it just became so nonsensical by the end of it that it was just such a disappointment. And of course, all of the whitewashing was always going to be really problematic. Now, I totally get the concept of having actors that are really going to draw people into the box office and watching the movie in the theatres and in the cinemas, but come on, having so many white actors that are simply just tanned playing all of these Egyptian god characters was always going to have a massive backlash, which is then going to have the opposite effect of people not going to the cinemas to watch this movie and really will deplete and destroy any opportunities to have a sequel to this movie, which, you know, is a bit disappointing in and of itself, and I'm going to be breaking it all down for you in this movie review. So in terms of the storyline and the plot of this movie, actually, surprisingly, the movie starts off pretty promisingly before it then descends into chaos in terms of introducing us to this world where actually the gods are living amongst all of the mortals in Egypt. And one day, King Osiris, who is the king of all of the gods in Egypt at the moment, is murdered brutally by his brother Set during Osiris' son's Horus's coronation, where he is going to become the next king and the next person enthroned from all of the god characters. However, Set has very different plans and completely murders the Osiris character and steals the eyes from the Horus character, leaving the Horus character not able to fight back, and then Set is the new ruler of Egypt. A year goes by and Set has completely changed the landscape of Egypt, and the character called Bek, who is a bit of a peasant boy who is very similar to the Aladdin character, goes into one of Set's temples and is able to locate and steal one of Horus's eyes. He then finds Horus, returns the eye, and then him and Horus are going to go on a bit of a mastermind plan to try and stop Set once and for all. Now, from a positives point of view, like I said, the opening sequence of this movie I actually did think was pretty decent. Also, the Set character really is a completely ruthless and narcissistic villain who is really unstoppable as well. So I feel like from a villain point of view, not only is he really layered, but I thought it was really interesting. They definitely could have pushed this aspect a lot further, but I really liked how it was a bit of a family dynamic and how desperate the Set character is to steal everyone's abilities from the god world and just have all of the power for himself and just rule everything all for himself. Also, the Bek character, I thought he was really interesting as well in terms of having a bit of an Aladdin vibe, and also the unassuming relationship and team up that he has with the Horus character was pretty interesting as well. However, let's go into the negatives. So first of all, the script itself was really painful. After it had a really promising start, it just then went really downhill and was really cringy. It didn't really make sense and was just not that enjoyable. Also, the CGI moments in this movie, some of them are really horrendous. I mean, some of them are alright in terms of showing the height differences between the mortals and all of the god characters in Egypt, but outside of that, some of the CGI is just really bad in this movie. And also, the afterlife storyline and how Set's going to use all of that area I thought was really badly written. The winged Apophis creature I thought was really bizarre, especially when Ra, who is Set and Osiris' father, is trying to stop this character from destroying everything. I thought all of that storyline aspect was really bad. Of course, all of the whitewashing was causing so much controversy for this movie. Before it even got released, it was having such negative publicity, on top of the fact the movie wasn't actually that great. And of course, the movie just stopped being fun, ultimately, which is why it just isn't that impressive from a storyline point of view. So from a cast and characters point of view, outside of all of the whitewashing, I actually think they had a decent cast in this movie. However, all of the characters were unfortunately not that great, had so much potential and so much ability to be brilliant, but they really didn't capitalize on it at all. So let's go through them one by one. So first up we have Nicola Costa-Waldau, who is playing the Horus character, And like I said in the beginning, I think this character had so much potential, as he was at one point being promised the throne and he was going to be the new king of Egypt and the leader of all of the god characters as well. However, his uncle is the person that totally betrays him, and then this character becomes totally powerless and is really in self-doubt, and a peasant boy called Beck is the one that reaffirms all of his abilities and self-belief and all of that sort of stuff. So I thought it was really, really interesting. However, the script just really didn't capitalize on the potential that this character and character arc and storyline potential that this character had in this film, which is really, really disappointing. Next up we have Gerard Butler, who did a really decent job as well, who is playing the Set character. Even though this movie is honestly riddled with so many problems, I do feel like Gerard Butler did do a decent job in showing this very loud, aggressive, self-interested and very destructive character. However, the script for this character just made him really shouty and just being larger than life in certain scenes, which is fine, as this is obviously a big villainous character, but I just feel like they could have gone to so much more depth with this character if he was written in a bit more of an effective way. Next up we have Brenton Thwaites, who is playing the Beck character. Again, he did do a really good job in terms of some of his Aladdin-inspired moments, and you know, Brenton Thwaites is a brilliant actor and did try to make as good of a job as he could have done with the material that he had in front of him. However, some of his line delivery was so cringe. It was just embarrassingly painful to watch, and like I said, nothing wrong with Brenton Thwaites' performance. It's just unfortunately the script really didn't do him any favours, and he did a much better job when he went on to his next film, which was the Pirates of the Caribbean film. Speaking of which, we also have Geoffrey Rush, who was an absolute legend in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise movies. However, here, he is playing the Ra character, who is the father of Osiris and of Set as well. And he is just in an embarrassingly painful sequence in this movie. First of all, he's stuck in space. He's trying his best to use his machinery to stop this evil winged character, and it just did not allow Geoffrey Rush to have great material in this movie and really limited his ability to be really great in this film. Next up we have Chadwick Boseman, who is playing the Thoth character, a really, really intelligent character, and he did try to be funny in this film. I just feel like Chadwick Boseman maybe wasn't the right actor to play this role. I mean, great from a diversity point of view, but I just feel like his line delivery wasn't as hilarious as this character should have been. Next up we have Elodie Yung, who is playing the goddess of love in this movie. Now, I understand why she was behaving the way that she was in this movie because of that. However, I do feel like it's a bit of a get out of jail free card to use that, as she was really, really desperate, really, really cringeworthy in the moment, always flaunting herself in this film. And I just feel like they could have respected this character and this actress a lot more, as this performance definitely wasn't that great. Again, nothing to do with the actress, but the script just wasn't that great. And then finally, we have Courtney Eden, who is playing the Zaya character, the love interest to the Beck character. And I feel like she was alright in this movie. However, they didn't really explain why this character is just putting all of her belief and her trust into the Horus character. If that was written a bit more effectively, then you could have understand why, but it was just a bit random, and you didn't see any of the backstory with this character to necessitate why this character is putting all of her trust into Horus, and why she is also then explaining to Beck why he should do the same as well. Now, from a cast and characters point of view, like I said, while there were decent cast members in this movie, their character portrayals were just really let down by this script. So when it comes to the visuals of Gods of Egypt, I'm a little bit mixed. However, I am leaning more towards them not being that impressive. But you know, that being said, like I said before, the opening sequence of this movie was really, really great. And also the opening number with the Beck character being in the temple trying to rescue one of Horus's eyes, I thought was really, really great. However, the majority of the fight sequences, Ra in space, and also the afterlife just didn't look that impressive. And so overall, from a visuals point of view, I think this movie is actually pretty poor. In terms of comparisons, even though Gods of Egypt was released way after a lot of these movies, I don't think it's as good as The Mummy, Seventh Son, Exodus, Clash of the Titans, Hercules, and of course Prince of Persia, which I think is so much better than this movie. I would love to put it in the category of, you know, it's so bad it's good, for example, like with Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Batman and Robin, but I just feel like Gods of Egypt just isn't even able to be in that category. So in terms of comparisons, unfortunately, this movie just isn't that impressive. So overall, with Gods of Egypt, like I said right in the beginning, I was really hoping and looking forward to watching this movie and thinking that it would be really, really impressive. However, it just went down a really disappointing path, and the box office numbers really do speak for themselves, as it was a bit of a box office failure. And it's just really disappointing, as this movie could have been and should have been really, really impressive, but unfortunately it wasn't. And so for all of those reasons, I have to give it a 2 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.